for yourself, just you and I have had some really good conversation. I hope you can answer some of this because I know a lot of people suffer from anxiety and stress. What are some things that you've done in the last several years to strengthen that resolve and to build a stronger capacity with that? Because that can be a really tough thing for people to build upon. And I think some people don't even know that they can build upon it. And some people aren't in a good enough spot to even think they can build upon it because they just feel so shitty.
I love that you bring that up, especially after talking about pain, because I see so many similarities in just the way that your brain operates with pain and with anxiety disorders, generalized anxiety disorders and panic disorders, where it's basically, again, it's a mismatch and a perceptual fault that your brain has to certain chemicals in your blood. Like that's what anxiety is. So what happens with anxious people is that you start avoiding situations based on how anxiety triggering they are, and you just start retreating like towards yourself. And the best thing to do for that is exposing yourself to the situations that cause you anxiety. Very similar to pain, graded exposure. It's literally the same thing. So just from sports tying into the psychology of anxiety, it teaches you that the only way of getting through these obstacles is right head on, just facing the thing that's generating anxiety or generating fear or pain and doing it over and over again until you've changed that perception that you have for that particular anxiety provoking moment, I guess.
And it might help to have a doctor or psychiatrist or pharmaceutical intervention to get you to, because I think some people are like stuck, right?
Yeah. So, I'll talk a little bit more about my anxiety more specifically. So the first time I ever experienced any sort of anxious thoughts, I must have been like 6 or 8 years old. But obviously I didn't know what it was. And back then, in the 90s, any sort of mental illness, mental health thing, it's like, it's not real.
Get thrown off a cliff.
You're making it up. You're exaggerating to get picked up from camp, or like you just want attention or whatever else, So mine got just swept under the rug for so many years. I just had no idea what was going on with my body, with myself. I had these like extremely intense episodes of fear. Like that's the only way I could explain it. It was fear of fear. It was fear of having a panic attack at school because it had happened in the past. It was fear of what if I have a panic attack at a soccer game? What if my mom's not here to talk me through it? What if my therapist dies? Like I legit used to have those thoughts, and just had no idea. And then with that came all the physical symptoms of anxiety that made it even worse because it's like, oh shit, like now this is actually manifesting itself in the physical world. Like it's not really in my head. Like now I also have, am I making that up? And you start thinking you're going crazy. I'm going crazy. Now I'm shaking uncontrollably. Can't eat, to save my life. Can't eat, can't drink. I'm super hot, but I'm freezing. And my hands are sweating. My feet are sweating, but I'm cold. Just like the weirdest physical symptoms I used to get. And then in combination with a super fast racing mind that just kept telling me that I was going to die, essentially, or I was going to lose my mind. I wasn't afraid of dying. I was afraid of losing my mind. In fact, I was like, some of those anxiety attacks, panic attacks were so intense. And I'm like, I remember thinking, dude, if this is how I have to live the rest of my life, I'd rather not fucking live. Like, this is way too terrifying. If I have to go through this periodically, this is insane.
And did this happen all your life?
That happened on and off. Yeah, it's been happening on and off my entire life.
Okay.
So then when I was 14, 15, finally my mom took me to a counselor. It wasn't even a therapist because, if people find out that Rena's daughter is going to a therapist, then that's embarrassing, right? Mm-hmm. So I ended up going to a therapist and just talking about it and starting to understand a little bit more, again, education, starting to understand what anxiety and what panic attacks really are from a physiological standpoint. Like, where is it actually coming from? Oh, okay, it's my amygdala that's like on overdrive. It's overly sensitive. It's releasing adrenaline, cortisol in amounts that are not natural. And then this is floating through my blood. And it's
Was that really helpful to hear it from a professional who was like, you're not the only one. Other people have this as well, and this is what is going on.
It was the most helpful to understand it from a physiological standpoint. Like, you're usually scared of things that you don't understand because you don't understand the consequence of being exposed to that thing, right? And for me, it was so scary not knowing what was going on in my body, and with anxiety, it's like that fear of losing control, fear of losing your mind, fear of losing control, fear of it developing into something else. You know, and all those things are just based on my lack of understanding for that condition, for mental health. And what's crazy is that after I think I spent maybe like 2 or 3 years in my teens with the anxiety, then it went away, came back in grad school. What that tells me is that there's definitely there's definitely an effect that the environment has on whether or not you show this anxiety. And it's obvious, right? Like, if you go through a period of time where you're super stressed out, I don't know, you couldn't pay for your rent and you had to like go work extra hours. Now you're working 100 hours a week.
Power Project family, how's it going? Now, I want to talk to you guys about Within You hydration specifically. They have This Is the Way, which is an amazing protein that tastes really good. There's a fasting gum, but the hydration is very interesting because there's no other electrolyte supplement like it out on the market. It has 60 milligrams of magnesium, 320 potassium, 1,000 milligrams of sodium, but it also has 500 milligrams of aminos, essential amino acids, and then 2 milligrams of zinc. 2 amazing flavors, blueberry lemon and a salted caramel. That's you, Andrew.
That is me.
So, guys, you know how important electrolytes are? They help you perform better. You don't get cramps during workouts. And, with the diets, you need good electrolytes. So, Andrew, how can they check it out?
Yes, that's over at markbellslingshot.com. And at checkout, enter promo code PowerProject10 to save 10% off your entire order. Links to them down in the description, as well as the podcast show notes.
And you have to feed your baby, and your mom's dying of cancer, and it's so much. It's an environment that naturally will make you feel anxious. Yeah. But for for a person who doesn't have an anxiety condition, it's just stress. You're not interpreting it as, oh, I'm losing my mind. Oh, I'm gonna this is gonna develop into something else. You're scared, you're nervous, you're anxious normally, right? For a person like me, because of that sensitivity and the learned behavior, the learned kind of past with the same feelings, you tend to kind of perceive it as something way worse than it actually is. So I was in grad school, sleeping very little, abusing caffeine, taking a bunch of Adderall, stressed out of my mind, going to studying for 15 hours a day on top of training for powerlifting, on top of traveling and competing and all that other stuff. It was just kind of the perfect brewing environment for that. And the scariest part was that at 25, when that came back, I was like, man, I thought I was over that. Like, I thought I had beaten it, and now it's back. How long is it going to stay this time? Is it going to stay for a year, 2, 3, 5, 10, 15, or the rest of my life? Like, does it mean that now it's going to actually become something worse? And that was the worst anxiety I've ever experienced, like during grad school, especially because I couldn't avoid. I
think you and I might have talked about it.
We did.
Yeah.
I couldn't avoid any of the responsibilities I had. I'm an adult. I have to go to school. I have to pay my rent. I have to do my homework. Like, mommy's not there, and I have to just figure out a way to kind of go through that. And that's when I decided to go to a psychiatrist. I'm old enough to make my own decision at that point. I went to a psychiatrist. I got medication. It helped me a ton. But what has helped me the most is leaning so far into that discomfort, so far. Any time that I experienced, I would purposefully go back to that place where I got the panic attack or the anxiety, and I would try to trigger it for myself. I would hyperventilate on purpose until I got that panic attack and try to talk myself through it. It's just adrenaline, the feeling, that whoosh feeling, that feeling that I'm going to die. It's legit adrenaline. It can't kill me. It's adrenaline, it's cortisol. My amygdala is all confused. It sends signals to my hypothalamus that I'm in danger, but I'm fine. And just consistently putting myself through those situations. And honestly, after my first fight in boxing, it triggered the same feeling. And after I fought, actually it was the second fight. And after I fought, I remember getting out of the ring and I'm like, fuck this shit. This was so terrifying. This was fucking horrible. I just had a panic attack on a ring in front of thousands of people. This is the most terrifying thing ever.
And you won.
And that was a draw, second fight.
Oh, draw. Okay.
And And I wanted to quit so bad. I was ready to just tell everybody like, I did it. You know, I came, saw, conquered. You know, that's it. Boxing's cool, but it's not for me. I'm out. It's too stress inducing. You know, I'm a bitch, basically. And that's when I discovered what my why was with boxing. I'm like, it's part of it. It's kind of like fighting fear. It's my biggest opponent. I go in the ring and that's the biggest opponent I have. It's the fear. It's the fear of disappointment. It's the fear of failure. It's the fear of being anxious. It's the fear of a panic attack. It's all of that, right? So for me, it was like, man, if I can conquer my anxiety and my panic inside the ring, under the lights, with a timer, with everybody watching, if I can do that, I don't think I'll ever be scared of anything else. You know?
It's some Fight Club type shit.
Yeah, but
You
legit, like
fighting yourself, yeah.
I'm so genuine about it too. Like I'm not trying to be hardcore at all. Like it's really how I feel about it. In my last fight, I had another panic attack. With this one came with man, what's that feeling when you feel like you're watching yourself from up top?
Disassociation.
Disassociation. I was seeing, you know, Call of Duty?
Yeah.
Bro, that's what I was seeing.
Oh shit.
Like it was like,
How?
I see it and I'm telling my hands to do things and they're not doing the thing.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, like a bad
And
dream.
all I see, like a bad dream where you're being chased and you can't do anything about it. Bro, listen, I'm there, right? I have my hands up and I'm like, I'm going to throw a punch. What the fuck? Okay, I'm going to block this. Like things were just happening at me.
From the beginning of the fight, or did this
From
happen?
the second round.
From the second round. Why do you think
I
that
don't know.
you don't know? I have a question real quick about the putting yourself
It
in
was
those
so horrible.
Yeah. But putting yourself in those situations that would give you a panic attack, did you start doing that first with supervision, or was that something suggesting you're like, okay, I'm gonna now do this on my own? How did you do that?
From the beginning, because at the beginning, nobody believed that I had anything. Like my parents just thought I was being, you know, I wanted attention.
Mm-hmm.
So I just kind of had to keep going to school.
Yeah.
You know, there's no other option. Oh, you're shaking out of control. You can't eat. You're going to school anyway, which is good. You know, like I was never
Coddled?
yeah, and never perceived as a victim or like weak or like babied, you know, and that made it a lot better, because I think also like if you start, are you good? Are you okay? Do you feel good? I think that just makes everything kind of seem worse as well.
Was it the case for you? I think everyone thinks that this has to stem from something, some sort of trauma. Was there a trauma for you? And if there wasn't, did you feel bad that there wasn't a trauma, that these things were happening like for no reason?
It was so annoying and again, another Sherlock Holmes situation, but this time with psychology. Oh, tell me about your childhood. I'm like, bitch, I don't want to talk about my childhood. Like, it's not a problem, all right? I'm telling you. Yeah. My parents loved me. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I argued with my dad a few times. He hit me with
Tell me about that.
Yeah, he hit me with a belt a couple of times. Bro, like my dad is Moroccan Jewish, all right? He hit all of his sons. All of his brothers got hit. It's normal for me. I saw it happen. Yep. And it was never like, oh, I'm so, no. Like it was like, you know what I mean? Like I deserve it kind of thing. Oh yeah, tell your dad abused you, hit you. I'm like, nah, dude. Like
Americans don't understand that.
You're putting things in my head. You're putting things in my head. That's I'm telling you, that is not the problem, you know. And again, the fact that I remember dealing with anxiety at a very young age, 6 years old. Like nothing happened to me, you know, before that.
Just the makeup of your own hormones and stuff like that. Maybe that's true. That's a good point.
That I'm aware of.
Yeah, who the fuck knows, right?
Power Project family, we appreciate you checking out this clip. Check out another one. Just go check out another one. Or comment down below and let us know what you liked about this one. But we love you guys, and we're going to keep bringing you the heat. So comment, subscribe, and all that good stuff, okay? Peace.